Titan Kosiho has finally made it to Seoul after 1 week in transit. They exist, and they have decided to make it everyone else's problem. Don't go revving up your Titan bombers just yet, though. 16 additional systems have been captured by its auxiliary forces. The Anti-Xeno initiative should have this basically zipped up by Monday, but the Thargoid War only updates on Thursdays, so unfortunately Earth is going to get glassed for a full week. I tried to see if I could go and rescue more people from Seoul, but my advice is, don't. The place is a death trap now, and your FSD booster will melt because it's a maelstrom system now. If you'd like to try, the pay is really low, and the evacuations are now being done to Lutane's star. This would all be so much more dramatic if Akanar wasn't 3 doors down and doing just fine. Praise be to Emperor Arissa Laveni Duval. She's not just a Laveni Duval, she's the Laveni Duval. Also, Colonia is going to be fine. Who knew that humanity might be saved by a robot bartender strapping a really big frameshift drive to a station to make the world's most remote international waters gambling ship? Well, since one could be led to believe that the Thargoid War will be over in like 10 days, now seems like a perfect time for a quick guide on how to participate. Virtually all of the tech unlocks needed to fight bugs have been lifted. You'll still want to be able to use armor and hull reinforcement engineering, but engineering is half the game at this point, so deal with it. There are a variety of approaches that can be taken for AX builds, but I'm going to give you the most simple. The Krait Mark II is my favorite general-purpose AX build. Many people use chieftains. The 2 most important things you need to know about anti-Xeno combat is that 1. Thargoid weapons partially bypass shields, and many have attacks that functionally destroy shields. Shield tank builds are still used in places, but it's a very expensive and clunky build that I'm not a fan of. Because of this, most AX builds are shieldless hull tanks. AX combat is the fastest way to get over your fear of hull damage. 2. Thargoids take something like 3% damage from traditional weaponry. They take much less damage than usual from laser weapons, but still more than none. And for all practical purposes can only be killed with anti-Xeno or Guardian weapons. What weapons you choose to run will make the largest difference on your experience. Veteran AX pilots often recommend Gauss cannons. Functionally, they are railguns with a coat of paint. They have the highest damage potential and pinpoint accuracy, which many claim makes them hands down the best AX weapon. And in laboratory conditions, I agree. But war is hell, and unless you are a godlike pilot, you will never have the aim necessary to use these things to their maximum potential. Modified plasma chargers are really fun to use, and they can be really effective as well. Unfortunately, they take a really long time to unlock because each individual unit takes items from Guardian Ruins, and the unmodified versions aren't really worth mentioning. Both the Gauss cannons and plasma chargers will melt in maelstrom systems where a Titan is present or if Thargoid glaives show up. Gauss cannons can be engineered to be immune to this, modified plasma chargers can't. Enhanced AX multi-cannons are in my opinion all that anyone will ever need, and they are purchasable with credits and work anywhere. Gimbaled AX multi-cannons allow for a flawless time on target, and if you know how to use sub-targeting they can pop interceptors' cores in a blink. If you don't know how to use sub-targeting, learn. It's vital. The pre-engineered Azimuth AX multi-cannon is an even better version that's definitely worth the upgrade. What's even better about them is that they are purchased with materials that can be gathered while fighting Thargoids, so you can go out and kill bugs with regular enhanced AX multis, scoop up their guts, and casually acquire an upgrade at a later point. Although not strictly an AX weapon, and not strictly required, beam lasers play an important part of AX combat. By engineering them with the thermal vent effect, we can maintain a low temperature while fighting bugs, which makes us more difficult to hit. Thermal vent is an experimental effect which requires not only having the correct engineering unlocked, but manually going to their base, which is inconvenient. So maybe make a bunch of these at once. The damage they deal to Thargoid scouts is also not negligible, although it falls off with higher class bugs. Overall, I think enhanced AX multi-cannons are what a beginner should use. You can just buy them, and they'll do most of the work for you. For utility slots, a Krait Mark II can just barely fit what I consider to be the essentials. Since heat plays a big role in getting targeted, we want a heat sink. Rescue megaships offer pre-engineered heat sinks that have a capacity of 5. Known as serious heatsink launchers. They need to be traded for individually, but the material cost per heatsink is basically free, and I can almost guarantee you that you can afford one already. Caustic sink launchers basically give you an additional amount of health bars, specifically for caustic damage. You have to be diligent about purging them, but they are incredible, and they can be engineered with increased capacity just like any heatsink. An enhanced anti-Xenos scanner is vital if you are using AX multi-cannons, as you cannot sub-target an interceptor's hearts until you scanned them. If you know what to look for, you can identify any Thargoid ship simply by targeting it and looking at the shape or count of hearts, but I still recommend using them. Shutdown field neutralizers take some real practice to utilize effectively, but once you've figured out how to escape being put on shutdown jail for 30 seconds at a time, literally every time an interceptor warps in or reaches one remaining heart, you will never want to go back. When fighting in a wing, only one of you needs to use one of these, but you do need to stay within a very close 3-kilometer radius. For core internals, we want military-grade composites, heavy-duty deplating. I recommend an armored, double-braced power plant because you'll be taking a lot of module damage, and these run colder as an added bonus. Speed is very important, so A-rated dirty-tuned drag drives. A-rated life support because your canopy will be breached. Don't worry about integrity though, your canopy will break before your life support, and you can always just repair it. Charge-enhanced supercapacitor distro. Heavy-duty, deep plating hull reinforcements. And 2 module reinforcements. Keeping 1 Guardian module reinforcement may or may not actually do anything. The jury is still out. A single small auto-field maintenance unit for canopy and weapon repair. Many AX pilots use a cargo bay and a repair limpet. And while that does afford you an order of magnitude more effective hull strength, module damage still compiles, and it can take 10 minutes to fully repair your hull with limpets. There's simply no time. For fire groups, I bind my anti-Xeno scanner to the same button as my beam lasers and keep them held down basically all the time, with my cannons or whatnot on the trigger. The second fire group is ejecting caustic sinks and to use the shutdown field neutralizer. 95% of the time in AX combat you'll be juggling pips between weapons and engines depending on your need at any given moment. You only need pips and systems to use your shutdown field neutralizer, and it will drink the entire thing if you let it, so give it all 4. Now that we're equipped, we need to find the fight. Inara CZ's War Tracker has all the information you need. You'll want to join a station's defense, so look for stations currently under attack and fly to it. The reason why we want a surface station defense, well, now's as good a time as any. This is an interceptor, specifically a Cyclops. You can kill one of these on your own and it's actually pretty fun. Anything higher than a Cyclops, just run. If you don't have an anti-Xeno scanner, you can tell a Cyclops apart by looking at these 4 pips down here. If it's more than 4 pips on spawn-in, it ain't a Cyclops. Killing an interceptor is a multi-step process, unless you have an insta-give build, but don't worry about that. And it's basically a 4-stage boss fight. Attack and scan it, and when you hear it yell and see one of its petals light up, sub-target that petal and fire away. Once it pops, it'll yell again and gain shields. Best to get some distance at this point. You can wait out the shield or just damage through it. After the first heart, it'll glow yellow. And try to grab you to zap you with lightning that will shut down one of your modules and devastate your shields, should you have them. They'll keep trying to do this for minutes at a time, and I normally just suck it up. They deploy what's called a Thargon swarm to attack you with small weapons fire and caustic missiles. You're supposed to use a flak launcher to kill them, but I never bother. It takes a while, it's annoying, and it costs you a precious weapon slot. Most of the damage you take will be from them, but they die when you kill the Cyclops, so basically just kill the Cyclops fast, and you won't have to worry about it. Every heart you pop causes it to gain shields and repeat the process with slightly different behavior. But all you need to worry about is that on its last heart, it will initiate a shutdown field pulse. This has a visual HUD warning and a very distinct sound. This is when you put pips to system and hold down your shutdown field neutralizer. Take some practice. After that, it's pretty much dead. In the words of my generation, that's cringe, bruh. Pretty good payday for these things. Like I was saying, the reason we want station defense is because it spawns Thargoids constantly, and there's a station just a few kilometers away to repair and rearm in. The surface station defense in particular doesn't allow Cyclops to spawn Thargon swarms, effectively neutering their ability to damage you. Space station defense is harder because of this, and most space defenses can only be docked at with a medium or small class ship. These little flying saucers are Thargoid scouts. This is basically a joke. They're highly maneuverable and aren't that big, so Gauss cannons might have a hard time landing a shot, but multis just shred them. They'll even die to simple beam laser fire. I could shoot these things all day, it's like skeet shooting. The ones with red auras buff other Thargoids, and the green ones are healers. That's a priority target if I ever heard one. Kill most of the scouts and eventually you'll get a little credit bonus and interceptors spawn in. This is the meat of the experience. Killing interceptors over and over. They always generate a shutdown field after spawning in, so keep your ears open. After you kill enough interceptors, you'll get a large credit bonus, and then 2 hydras will spawn. This is your cue to get the hell out of town because, unless you're in a wing with a full AX complement, you're not going to make it. Either jump to supercruise, hyperspace, or land at the station, and log out and back in to reset the instance. I don't think this is combat logging. I'm docked at a station, what danger am I in? There isn't even a logout countdown. And FDev has said that even if you're in danger, as long as you wait the 15-second logout countdown, it's not punishable. I don't know how you'd prove it. Sometimes during surface station combat, Thargoid glaives show up and fart an anti-Guardian field that melts Guardian weapons and modules. This is effectively the game telling you to stop having fun. They're not that dangerous, but if you're using exclusively anti-Guardian weapons, it's time to reset the instance one way or another. Anyways, AX Combat can be a real brick wall to new players, but with all the requisite equipment now simply available for credits, you might as well dip a toe. I promise you it's the most fun combat content in the game, even if that's not saying much.